So hi everyone, welcome to the weekly bi-weekly GUAC maintenance meeting. The call will be recorded and will be available online. So participation in this this acknowledgement of that, as well as your participation is in accordance and abiding to the Open SSF Code of Conduct and the LF antitrust policies. You can see that more information about that on the community websites. Cool. So I think the first item we have is, well, before we jump into things, is there anyone new that would like to introduce themselves? Going once, going twice. All right. Cool. I think the first item belongs to Ben. Welcoming our newest steering committee member. Ben, do you want to talk to that?
Yeah, highlighting that Ruben has been added to the steering committee. And then I was looking at, I noticed that Jeff's affiliation is no longer correct, but I thought, this might be a good opportunity to go through current members and be like, hey, do you still, are you still active? Do you still want to be part of the steering committee? Is it time for you to step down? Um, it's kind of a housekeeping kind of thing. So I think unless somebody objects to that, I'll start pinging the other members just to check in and see what, if they want to remove themselves or not.
That sounds good.
Sounds good. And welcome, Ruben. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Ruben. So glad to have you. And we have this, we have the issue already also voted on. Do we have the change already made in the repo? Let me see. We do. Perfect. Awesome.
Have the permissions, like any repo permissions associated with it, been done?
Yeah.
Actually, I don't remember offhand what that needs to be, but I know I don't have privileges for it.
So I just added Ruben as owner of the org. I hope it's okay with everybody. He already have all the permissions for the repos he's working on. So, but
yeah, I think
we can think for a while. Like if any changes needed to be done, we can all think together and make sure we're doing the right thing. And yeah, steering committee file is updated, and I'm not sure if there's anything else that we should do.
Sounds good. I think my one note here, I guess Ben, when you're kind of, maybe once you get information back, I think we just need to make sure that it aligns with the current charter to make sure we're the right amount of seats. Cool. Ruben, do you want to say a few words?
I'm grateful for all my colleagues. No, I'm very bad at this. So no, just I'm happy to be part of the community. It's a good environment, and I'm happy to be part of it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. With that, let's move to the next item. I think, Shrey, as you have a PR open around adding a custom scorecard certifier, it looks like Michael has been reviewing this. Do you want to talk to what you'd like to discuss for this PR?
Yeah, so I think Michael has put comment. So I was just wondering, I responded to that. So I was wondering if it is okay to merge this PR if everyone is fine, and all the suggestions by Michael are good, and we will contribute them as a separate PR. I was wondering, since this has already been open for a while now, and we have been using this exact contribution in our production for around 2-3 months, actually more than 2-3 months, and I think we are pretty confident it's working without any issue. So I was thinking if it is okay, we can merge this one.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm personally fine with that. But
it
Yeah,
looks like the two comments that you had, the kind of blocking was just making sure that the HTTP code is correct and it's a proper 429. 429 and 500. Has that been updated yet?
wait, let me just quickly share. I'll just open the comments and clarify things here. Um, okay, so I'll go through my comments to the Michael's comment. So one suggestion was to um, make sure that this silent fallback, um, it should be recorded as a one of some indicator in the schema somewhere, that mm, let's say we are not calling the scorecard for the given commit, but rather we are falling back to the latest commit which is available. So I think Michael's point is also fair here, that someone might want to use the exact commit also. So we should have an opt-in for that kind of behavior. So we'll implement that as a separate PR, that enhancement. And the another thing was about GitHub auth token, right? So that is earlier it was mandatory and the check was throwing an error. So as per the new functionality, we thought that having GitHub token as an optional would make sense, although it breaks the existing expectation um, for the users. But that is kind of good, I think, because uh, the new implementation does not really require GitHub auth token, and it also improves the user experience. If someone just wants to try out the scorecard functionality quickly, so yeah, in a way it is breaking the existing mm, behavior, but I think it's the change is for good, so maybe we can leave that one in. And yeah, with this one also we'll implement the retry backup mechanism. And the only thing we need to change in this PR is the comment part. That is, I mentioned that somewhere. Yeah.
I do think like the retry bit that Michael mentioned seems like something that will, I think probably based on the experience of running the scorecard certifier, it seems like this will happen, and so I'm thinking Michael's suggestion is that we implement the retry backup as part of this PR.
I
Um,
do.
Sorry, go ahead. What was it?
I would say I do have some concerns about introducing breaking changes here, just because we are in a sort of stable release cycle at this point, and I think
You mean the GitHub auth token
Yeah.
change? So it it's actually not breaking the existing flow, right? I mean, whoever is using GitHub auth token will continue to support that. It's just that it is breaking the expectation for future users, which is something we should consider.
If I understand correctly, the GitHub off token requirement expectation is strictly a more relaxed requirement, right? So if what you're saying is that users that are already interacting how they do today will not be affected. Is that right?
Yes, correct. So anyway, all current users who are using scorecard would have to supply this anyway. So making this from mandatory to optional is not not will not
Okay.
break their workflow, but it just breaks the expectations, as Michael was saying, which is a fair point. But I think removing that, since the contribution is introducing a new way to compute scorecard, it does not require auth token.
Uh,
It actually
Okay.
improves the user experience.
Yeah, so it's not a breaking change. It's not a compatibility breaking change. Okay. Yeah, then I withdraw my concerns.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think the only concern that I imagine is that if people start relying it without the GitHub off token, what is the implication for if you're not using the token? Will they start running into rate limit issues and things like that? But yeah, I I agree that that's probably a bridge that we can cross a little bit later.
Yeah. So I mean, these are good to have the retry mechanism, but so far we have been consuming scorecard and in our production with fair amount of data. We haven't run into this issue. Actually, we ran into the rate limit issue when we were using the older uh, method of computing scorecard, where it was making a lot of uh, GitHub's GraphQL calls and all. So it was consuming a lot of tokens actually of the GitHub API. So that one was actually running into this. So that was the whole reason we thought, rather than computing, we should leverage the this API, which is a very cheap call. I would say it's just a database lookup, I think. Um, and officially they
That's
don't
fine.
mention the rate limit, I think, in their docs. So it might be pretty high, but we will anyway we will contribute this as a one more PR, the retry mechanism. Is that fine? And we can just go ahead and merge this one.
I think so. So I think the from a release perspective, I think we want that in before the next release. From whether it has to be part of this PR, maybe that can be a little bit more flexible. I don't
Okay.
imagine. I imagine it's just a configuration in the HTTP client to
Yeah.
do that, which shouldn't be too
Yeah.
bad. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think if I think two suggestions, right? I think either we just implement the 429 backoff retry into the HTTP client and then we merge this. I think the other alternative is we get this merged in, we open an issue that will block a release and make sure that like the issue gets resolved before we cut a new release.
Um, yeah, we'll try to incorporate that one. I think should be a easy change to incorporate this change. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do that. Yeah. All right.
Sounds good. Yeah, and I think if it proves to be a little bit more heavyweight, which I don't imagine, then we can revisit that decision.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. Mike, do you have any additional notes on this?
No. Yeah, I think it seems reasonable.
Sounds good. Cool. Gagan, do you have a couple things to talk about? Floor is yours.
Yeah. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is about the GAWK REST command. So I did observe that there were a couple of issues which were open related to GAWK REST. And when I went through the code base, I did see a couple of things which were unimplemented. So right now, for whatever things that were unimplemented and a couple of fixes related to pagination, so I've raised PRs for that. So the thing is, I wanted to contribute more into this component. So I just wanted to ask the maintainers on like, is there a specific roadmap for this particular component? Or I also see a couple of issues where there is an ask for REST endpoints related to licenses or SBOM insights, things like that. So I just wanted to understand the future roadmap for this.
So I can chat about this and then others can chime in. As of the current version, the GUAC REST endpoint is not officially supported. Is kind of like a the reason that it was created was because there was a lot of feedback on, oh yeah, there's the data model and being able to query the data model, but the data model is not very simple, and a lot of people want a kind of very standard interface, like just tell me where are my S form so I can respond to like EO requests or the incoming CRA requests. The I would say the spirit of the GUAC REST API aims to encapsulate all the main user journeys, and have that be kind of like pre-built functions, right? So that most users, unless you're a very sophisticated user that wants to go create your pre-built function, most people would just interact with that toolbox. I think the spirit still remains that we want to have a simpler API for most users. Whether or not it remains to be a REST API or a CLI, I think that's still it could go either way. But I think the spirit in terms of we want a cleaner API that some users can interact with without needing to like dive deep into the ontology and the data model.
Okay, got it. So yeah, I have raised a couple of PRs. Probably we need a couple of more reviews on it, and probably I'll look into other issues which I open as well, if that is fine, were related to say licenses, and I hope it adds value. So that is what I wanted to clarify.
Could you just make sure that we don't miss anything? Could you add the PR numbers into the meeting notes as well?
Sure, I'll add it there.
Thank you.
And there's one more PI which I wanted to talk about. So there was a ask for supporting Azure Blob Store. So as per the discussion in the issue, the discussion ended with the note that we could have a cloud agnostic blob collector instead of supporting multiple ones separately. So right now, what I've done is I've made an implementation which is cloud agnostic, and Michael had also reviewed the PR and he had left a few suggestions and improvements, and I've fixed those as well in the same PR. A couple of improvements were suggested that also have changed in the same PR. So right now that is also done. So that also needs a re-review.
Okay, I think I can pick this up. Yeah, I'll take a review on this. This looks pretty interesting.
Yep, I'll add the GOCREST PRs to the same agenda document. Yeah, that's it from my side.
Cool. All right, yeah, I think we'll jump on those reviews for you so that we can unblock that. Thanks for highlighting. All right, Ruben, all yours.
Yep. Well, I wanted to share with you the workflow that we started using in some of our projects for the dependency analytics, and what actually some engineers started adopting this workflow for their day-to-day basics, and it's about leveraging the AI coding tools through some skills and configuration files, and also a predefined workflow to replace the coding that we usually do and take another role and a higher level vision of and leverage the AI tools to do all the implementation. So let me share the workflow. I added the two links of the repositories that are relevant to this conversation. And this is an overview of the workflow, where you can see that those are the skills that we defined. And you will go through an initial setup of the skills where you define your specific workflow. So if you are using Jira or GitHub, so far we are only using Jira. And then we can define a feature where it can be from scratch, where you start discussing with in this case, it's with Claude. You start discussing what you need or what you are feeling that can be improved. And or also start from another Jira that describes a bug or something that is not formally defined, like a spike or something like this. And this will end up creating a feature Jira or a properly properly defined Jira from a template of that we internally use. Then it will come the phase where we plan the feature. The plan feature will go into more implementation details and will describe the overall strategy, and also might create sub-Jiras for each of the individual tasks that need to be done. After the human reviews, well, the human is constantly involved and can review each of the steps and all the items created. Sometimes you might want to do this before they are even created. Then you can, once this is done and you are happy with the current state and the strategy, you can start implementing the individual tasks. For the individual tasks, we have the implement task skill, and we'll do the implementation locally through a branch and a pull request. And once it's done, the pull request, it will transition the Jira to the in review status. Here we can, as in the dependency analytics, we use Guodo, and in Trustify we use Sorcery AI. Doesn't matter. but we will have an AI, a different AI with a different strategy and different tools do an initial review. At the same time, the author will do a self-verification. The human will do a self-verification of what was done. And we should also have another human do the usual peer review. With all this feedback, that is usually very useful because it has 3 different point of views and 3 different opinions. We can do the verified PR. The verified PR should be run in an independent session, not without the previous context that we were carrying from the implementation task, so that it is not biased with what has been done so far. With the verified PR, it will write a report to compare what was defined in the Jira, in the task, in the initial problem description, what was implemented, and take into account all the feedback coming from any source, any possible source. With this, it will distinguish between different kind of feedback, whether the feedback is with the implementation itself that is not following the best practices, the conventions that are in the same in the project, or if it is a problem with the description of the Jira or the interpretation of the tasks that were defined in the Jira. It might create subtasks for the follow-up implementation or for the skills to be improved. So if the process is not good enough and it's obvious that it's not part of the implementation itself, but how the AI interprets or understands how it should have been done and it wasn't done this way, it will create a retrofit tasks to improve itself. The subtasks that are related to this pull request and this effort will be created, if they are related directly, will be created into the same pull request, or we can create, or it might be that it requires different implementation and different tasks that had to be implemented in a different pull request. After all this is, after we have implemented all the follow-up tasks, then we can merge and close the workflow. So is the workflow clear so far? No questions about the workflow?
Quick question on this. Oh, Michael, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, no real questions for me. I think this sort of general flow is becoming kind of more and more standard as time has kind of gone on. Because I don't know if you've seen Spec Kit, which is like similar to this. It kind of does a couple of things differently, but I think generally it's like kind of a very similar thing. And then also a lot of the stuff you talked about with getting 2 different sessions or 2 different agents to kind of verify, I think it's very useful, because I think in the past, one of the things I've seen happen a lot is, yeah, if you have a session try to verify itself, it almost always thinks it did the right thing.
As any developer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it acts very much like a human would in that case. And so having 2 separate sessions sort of like poke each other is useful. The thing that I'd actually be curious about is how you've structured the, like, hey, if it determines that the skill is missing something, to maybe open up a PR against the skill. The thing I'd be interested in is kind of hearing your, not right now, it doesn't have to be right this second, hearing your sort of experience with that, because one of the things I found is sometimes it also does run into that, like, hey, it thinks it did the right thing, and the skill always thinks like, no, I'm fine. And I have found some issues like that in the past where it tends to think that it like the skill itself is always fine. But I wonder if you structured the skill in such a way to like have it second guess itself or something like that.
So this is something. So only with this, it will not work. So you need to have the conventions file in your repository, where you will describe how you like things to be done in your repository. These skills have a generic opinion of how any project should work. So if you are adding a new feature, check if how it was implemented in the code, if there is something similar. If you are adding tests, follow the same libraries, the same patterns, add comments where, try to add more comments than when you have an engineer adding a new code, because this code will be reviewed by many different people, and it has to be better documented, let's say. So things like this. And also, it's also very important, and this is what I wanted to talk now as well, that we created I am using, so this is something that I'm only using in the team, but I share it with Marco, who is the guy who is leading this effort, to implement sub-agents that are specialized in the different tasks or the different projects that we are working on. Because the dependency analytics project is many projects. Is the Java client, the JavaScript client, the backend. It also interacts with Trustify. So there are so many things involved and there is so much code involved that we have to have these sub-agents. Let me talk before moving there. Let me. Brandon has also some questions.
I think my main question was around, you had the flow chart, and at the end it's like human decides whether they want to implement it or not. What happens if what's the I'm imagining that sometimes it doesn't give you what you want, even though like you kind of reviewed the implementation plan. What is the work? What is your workflow from that? Do you like restart the entire thing, or is there like a kind of feedback loop from the human again back into the initial implementation plan?
Usually, it's not so off the implementation, so it's on track and it's to the point. Maybe you don't agree with the overall strategy, but you can work on that in the plan, where you are planning the task. When you are planning the feature, here's where the plan is presented to you, and you can agree. You can evolve this plan until. But yeah, it can happen that it's completely wrong, and you can give some hints. But I haven't seen, for the past month or 2 months where I started using this, I haven't seen a completely wrong approach of something.
Did you ever have to like modify the code after that, on the output code, or not at all?
What code?
Like the PR that it generates.
Yes. And also, as if I am the person driving the AI and working with implementation and all this, sometimes I don't see when something is wrong, because I have been with the AI during the process, and that's why another engineer is still useful in this process. And also the AI code review tools are also very useful because they bring some other concerns like security or documentation or things like that. Yes, Reyes.
Yeah, I think on the same lines is what Brandon was asking. Like, what if the code it generated at the last stage is not up to your taste? Uh, I think that's what Brandon was also probably trying to ask. That,
Yeah,
meaning,
but
so
to your
do you?
taste, it will never be.
So
And
do you?
it shouldn't be. Yeah, sorry.
So, but do you end up modifying it at the end to your taste, or you accept Claude result and move on?
This is why you have to write the conventions file and keep it updated. Because if you like, for example, a very popular case, when you have you are writing tests and you like the given then when approach, if you put this into this is something that you have to agree on at the project level. So if you put this into the conventions and the AI should always follow this approach. Or if you want to use this certain library for new tests, this is something that should be part of your conventions file. So this taste or this common practices in your project, unless it's your individual project, but if it's a team project, you should come up with an agreement. And after we started using this approach, one engineer doing a review was saying, no, but you should do this in this certain way. And another one was saying the opposite. So that's not a problem with the AI approach.
Yeah.
It is a problem with the project conventions and the team conventions.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the exact step where that Michael asked. Well, I will share it with you later on in the chat.
Yeah,
because so the other project that I wanted to share with you is this one. This is my personal project where I added my configuration and also where I created the agents. This project is expected to be shared with the rest of the team. And here is where the agents, the sub-agents are defined, and I see how in Claude they are being used depending on the part of the knowledge that they have to interact with. They will start using one sub-agent or a different one or different in parallel, multiple in parallel. Let's say I want to add a new feature for the dependency analytics to support a new package manager for Python. Then it will start the dependency analytics parity sub-agent, the DA parity. It tries to keep the Java and the JavaScript implementations within the same functionality, so that they don't drift. And also the Java and the JavaScript client sub-agents. I have seen that how the three sub-agents are started concurrently doing the investigations, but they don't talk to each other. They have to share the data using the memory. And in the memory files is where they will add things and try to share their knowledge. Okay. Do you think this is interesting? This is something that you are considering using?
What do you mean by agent in these other scenarios? So How do you drive these workflows?
They, depending on what you ask to Claude, they will start these sub processes with these configurations, which are the sub agents, and they have their own scope and their own individual information of what they should, which problem they should resolve.
Okay, yeah, got it. Thanks.
But I can share with you an example of what we did. So I was from the dependency analytics. We were afraid that we were worried that the recommendations endpoint was feeling slow, and I started an investigation. I did the define feature, and Claude also helped me create performance tests, things that were measurable, and because it did some initial investigation, some initial research, it came up with some ideas, and I needed this to have specific numbers. So I created the local cluster, and I added a lot of data, and then it helped me to create some performance tests where I could measure the improvements, the memory consumption, and also the queries. And with this, we created some use cases for the QE. It has a set of sections that has to be filled in when we are planning a feature. Some of them are required, some others are optional. And then the plan feature created these 3 subtasks. Eventually, I merged these 2 because it made more sense. And then this is the subtask where there's the description of this subtask. I don't want to go into too many details. And finally, this is how it looks, the pull request that it creates with a summary, how to test it, and well, this is by sourcing. So up to here is what it creates. It tells you what implements, what it does, all the details of the implementation and the justification for this, and then some performance benchmarks that it brought a huge improvement. Brandon, just talk up, speak up.
Yeah, this is super cool, by the way. I think it's very interesting to see this. I saw there was a comment in that issue that was talking about like the production monitoring. Do you also have it hooked up to the production dashboard or something, and it's able to grab that, or that was your input to it?
What production? What do you mean with the production?
So in the feature in the Jira,
yes.
If you go all the way up, yeah, the background, it says production monitoring shows memory pressure.
Yes, yes. We have the Grafana dashboards where I saw the communication between dependency analytics backend and Trustify was decent for the vulnerability endpoint, but very slow for the recommendation. And this got worse when as it is getting worse as much by having too many SBOMs loaded into Trustify.
I'm kind of curious. Are you giving it access to that data as well, or no?
Which data? The plugin?
The
production.
the production telemetry.
I don't know, so, right?
No, it's not public, but I'm happy to share it if you need.
No, I thought it'd be
Or
pretty
the
interesting
dashboards.
to see that, right? And then they can also track the not only just like the test of performance, but then like the rollout as well. But,
In 6 months, probably.
yeah. No, this is super impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. You have to be very careful because as anyone, any engineer, any AI can make mistakes. So you cannot blindly trust yet any solution. Michael?
Yeah, no, this is awesome. Yeah. For folks who I recommend also folks take a look at like SpecKit, which is similar. It's a similar approach. This one that's kind of coming from GitHub. I do think most organizations are going to want to have their own like especially any large enough organization is going to want to do what you all did, which is like, hey, these are the things that are going to matter to us, and modify the skill, make sure that they have skills that kind of fit the flows of their individual orgs. But yeah, that's it's really cool. I really like that approach.
Thanks. Yeah, we are very enthusiastic. But it's easy to get absorbed by this momentum and start opening pull requests and creating stuff, and then become too abstracted of what you are really doing. So you are still the owner of what is being generated. So you have to be careful of everything that is being pushed to the repository. Rajan?
So I just want to add a comment on the SDLC workflow, what Ruben shared right now. So it uses Jira as a source of truth, and I've been kind of like using for some time. The one feature which amazes is verify PR. So you just need to feed in the Jira ID, and it will look at the GitHub pull request, and it will go through the comments and reviews, and it will make sure to go through every single details, and it will suggest the appropriate reply or the work in action. So both of them could be completed with this SDLC workflow itself. So that's kind of like comes in handy on much cases. The reason I'm highlighting is even there are a couple of occasions where some issues are raised with a false positive, right? And the agentic workflow is capable of capturing those and replaying it with proper baselines and examples. So I just want to highlight that part.
Yeah, so that's all from me. I was curious about your impressions on us starting implementing this into the GUAC repositories, because we have been doing it for a few weeks in the dependency analytics and also the Trustify.
This is the future, so yes. I guess. At least no concerns on my side. I feel like this is just like the where we have to hit. Yeah, I guess the only thing is making sure that it doesn't go rogue and delete repositories.
Yeah, of course. We have been also thinking on the fully automated workflow, but the AI still has to earn this let's say, privilege.
Trust, yeah.
I guess. One question is like, what? Like, at least for me, when I do AI work, I've kind of like resigned to just running it on YOLO. So if it's running as, I'm guessing it'll run, if you're running this as a CLI, it's gonna be running with your permissions and your privileges. Do we know whether it will have access to like the admin related things? Like, besides creating a PR, could it like force push force push main and do things like that?
Yeah, so it depends on how you connect. You can, another thing that I've been looking in my in my own time, no, so outside of the project, is to create an app, a GitHub app that will have more restricted privileges. And it will use the token of this app to do all the changes. And so you will see that the request is not coming from you, but from this app. So you can try to contain the permissions. But this workflow works or has been working with our own credentials.
One of the things I've been doing is, if folks haven't seen Luke Heinz's No, that is a really cool sandboxing app where one of the things I actually started doing for policies for myself is you can actually deny the agent access to admin endpoints on GitHub. So if it tries to do a thing of like, I can't force push to main because you have because you've restricted, because you have branch protection on, I'm going to turn branch protection off and then force push. It won't be able to, like, even though, yes, you, the user, could do that because you could go and do that, it won't allow you to, because you could actually say, I will not allow this, I will not allow the agent to make a call to this endpoint with this token. And it, the man in the middle proxy that No uses will actually just deny access to that secret. It'll deny network access to call that endpoint. So there's a lot of different options you can have there. Again, it sometimes does feel like, you have to still be careful about how you do all that, because, ideally if the LLM is attempting to disobey, that's probably still also a problem.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
inside
the worst that could happen is it just recreates a new Michael and then starts impersonating you, right?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I played a little bit on this also for like a Cloud Code. You can set up like a permissions profile. So the I saw in like a lot of sessions like what I'm mostly doing locally, like running things and things like that. So you can auto approve all of those, but then say like, okay, do whatever you want locally, but never do anything online without asking. So no pushing, no creating PRs, no commenting on anything and things like that. So you can actually, yeah. And yes, so far it's been obeying that. so far, and it's like a half YOLO mode, like, go crazy with this. Don't ask me about permissions to like try to find the documentation, things like that, modifying files, reading, searching, finding things, and writing code locally. But as soon as you like finish, you're done, stop, and then we will review and go from there. Yeah.
So that was a good discussion. Sorry, I have to drop as well. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Ruben.